Welcome to this explainer on the hidden miracle of our modern electrical grid. Today, we're going to demystify the incredibly complex engineering that keeps your lights on every single day. We really take it for granted, but behind the drywall in your house and those humming transmission lines out by the highway is literally one of the most magnificent, complex machines ever built by humanity. You walk into a room, flip a switch, and boom, you expect light instantly, right? But today, we're exploring the incredible hidden balancing act designed to prevent a single fallen tree or even a random lightning strike from plunging an entire region into a cascading blackout. Because when a transmission line goes down, that power doesn't just vanish. It instantly redirects. It surges through other lines, stressing the entire network. So how does the whole system not just collapse? Well, let's dive into this and find out.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, Keeping the Lights On.
To start, we really need to look at the twin pillars of electrical engineering that ensure our grid actually works safely and continuously. In the industry, these are known as adequacy and security. Think of adequacy like graduating, getting a solid job, and earning a salary that pays enough to cover your monthly bills. It's all about that long-term planning. Basically, do we have enough power plants built to meet peak summer air conditioning demand? Security, on the other hand, is having enough emergency cash in the bank to survive when your car breaks down completely out of nowhere. It's the operational reality. Can the grid survive a sudden, unexpected shock, like a massive generator suddenly tripping offline, and still have enough juice to meet the load? To have a reliable bulk power system, you absolutely need both.
So, how do they actually pull this off? That brings us to Section 2, the Power Grid Rulebook. To maintain this super delicate balance, grid operators aren't just winging it out there. They follow extremely strict rules set by organizations like the North American Electric Reliability Corporation, or NERC for short. These rules govern both the long-term planning and the real-time operations of the grid. And let me tell you, operators are playing a game with incredibly tight margins. For high-voltage lines, we're talking above 100 kilovolts. The voltage variation usually has to stay within a tiny 5% margin. Our system also has to maintain a rock-steady 60 Hz frequency. Why? Because the appliances you plug into your wall are physically built to expect exactly that frequency and voltage. During the planning stage, these reliability standards should never, ever be violated. But in the unpredictable real world of daily operations, curveballs happen. Extreme weather or multiple equipment failures can cause unintentional violations. When that happens, operators have very strict protocols to wrestle the grid back into a safe state.
Which leads us nicely into Section 3, Grid Health, from normal to emergency.
When those operational curveballs do happen, the grid's health transitions through very specific, defined states. You can kind of think of this like a patient hooked up to a heart monitor in a hospital. Most of the time, the grid is sitting completely happy in a safe, normal state, meaning there's plenty of margin to survive an unexpected failure. But if the system gets stressed, it drops into an alert state. It's still secure, sure, but that safety margin, it's completely gone. A failure here could cause some serious overloads. Now, if a failure actually hits while in the alert state, we drop right into an emergency. This is where the rules are actually broken. Maybe voltages drop way too low, but importantly, the system's core integrity is still intact. The grid hasn't totally collapsed into a blackout yet. Finally, operators will use emergency controls like controlled load shedding to push the grid into a restorative state to heal up and eventually get back to normal.
Let's move on to Section 4, Small Tweaks to Complete Chaos.
So what actually shoves the grid from completely normal into an alert or emergency state? Well, engineers call this a disturbance. Basically, a disturbance is any sudden shock to the system. It could be a weird change in one parameter or a whole cascading sequence of bad news. To make sense of all this, engineers classify these shocks into two distinct buckets based on how they mess with the grid's behavior and what kind of math is needed to study them.
First, you have a small disturbance. This is just you or maybe your whole neighborhood turning on the AC on a hot day. The changes are so small that engineers can use fairly simple, straightforward math to predict what's going to happen. And here's a crazy fun fact. Sometimes if the grid voltage dips, a heavy AC unit motor might actually stall out and shut itself down to protect itself, which inadvertently helps save the wider grid. A large disturbance, however, is pure unadulterated chaos. We are talking about a lightning strike causing a massive short circuit, or the sudden, violent loss of an entire power plant. Engineers can't just use simple math here. They have to run super intense, complex computer simulations just to see if the system will even survive the shock.
Okay, Section 5, the 3 pillars of grid stability.
Surviving these constant everyday disturbances relies on 3 distinct pillars. The first one is angle stability. This is all about keeping those massive spinning generators perfectly in sync. Imagine all the generators on the grid as dancers in a highly choreographed routine. If a shock hits the system, one generator might speed up or slow down a bit. But if it pulls too far out of step with the other dancers, it totally loses synchronism and trips offline. The second pillar is voltage stability. This acts as the steady, invisible pressure that pushes power across hundreds of miles of transmission lines to a load area, like a bustling downtown city.
Now, if that voltage pressure fails, things go south really quickly. It's essentially a tipping point. As the demand for power goes up and up, the voltage actually declines. And if the system is pushed past its breaking point, the stable operating equilibrium just completely disappears. This triggers a rapid and super dangerous voltage collapse, where the grid basically just gives up on pushing power altogether, plunging the whole area into the dark.
The third and final pillar is frequency. The entire North American grid has to maintain a steady 60 Hz heartbeat across the interconnected system at all times. Frequency is essentially a measure of the real-time balance between power generation and power demand. If a massive power plant suddenly fails, generation drops below demand, and that heartbeat starts to slow down. If the frequency drops too low, automatic protective relays will immediately start shutting everything down just to prevent permanent physical damage to all that heavy machinery.
Which brings us to our final part today. Section 6, Future Challenges for the Grid.
For well over a century, we've basically relied on the same traditional engineering tricks to keep this massive, continental-scale machine stable. But the grid of yesterday is changing, and it's changing fast. As massive, heavy coal generators are retired, they're being replaced by solar and wind power. And while that's obviously fantastic for the environment, wind and solar connect to the grid through power electronics and inverters. They simply do not have those massive, heavy, spinning, physical rotors. Because of this, the grid is literally losing its physical inertia. Those huge spinning chunks of metal in traditional power plants acted as natural shock absorbers against all those large, chaotic disturbances we talked about. Without them, the grid's heartbeat can swing wildly and much, much faster than before.
As we strip away the very physics that kept the grid stable for 100 years, innovation in things like smart grids, giant battery storage, and advanced inverters are going to be the new secret miracles keeping our modern world alive. But it leaves us with one massive lingering question. As we race headfirst into a renewable future, can we rewrite the engineering rulebook fast enough to keep the lights on?